Great job, all of you. I will announce at the end of the show today the winner, $10,000. And then on the nightly news tomorrow, I'm going to play clips from the top 4 or 5, and I want to make some prizes for them as well, but we're out of our budget. It's hard. I mean, first place and second place are about 1 degree apart, but I'll announce it at the end of the transmission in about an hour, 5 minutes from now. Going back to Richard Reeves briefly. Richard, all over the country, we're seeing Lugar, Specter, Republican, Democrat. They're all running. I mean, they're in trouble. People are getting rid of them, even with electronic fraud. The landslides are so big, they're not able to cheat them. And this is why they're panicking and having all the neocons call to ban guns now. And they're calling to ban them. They got legislation introduced to register you when you get ammo and ban semi-autos and all clips above 10 mags. I mean, we're in trouble. Again, we're winning, but we're in trouble because the crooks are still in control. So people have to understand we're in the fight of our lives. We're in the fight. We're not broke back in the ditch. We can still beat these people, but it's going to take deciding we're going to beat them. It's going to take getting angry. But I see the signs of that. I mean, Richard, 10 years ago, people would make fun of me walking down the street, some of them. Now, that never happens.
And I was with you 10 years ago seeing that happen. Exactly. So
they're not making fun now.
Exactly. They're not making fun.
What do you make of Dewhurst thinking that he'd won?
Well, I think he was just counting on the black box to kick in. Because he was claiming that, he actually said, well, the people of Texas have chosen a true patriot constitutionalist, somebody that really is going to fight the federal government, et cetera, somebody that's not an establishment candidate. And, as if he'd won. It was just crazy. I don't know if that video is still up or not.
And notice he's now anti-establishment. When people hear you work for the Cocaine Importation Agency with Klaus Barbie, he finally started talking about his Air Force record and working for the CIA. People don't like hearing that. They know the CIA works for foreign banks now.
More and more, exactly. They're learning that. So that's what is very encouraging about this. The incrementalism is starting to shift the other way. I tell you, this morning I was happy. I was smiling because I can say at least we've got a metric here that shows that we're doing some serious damage to the New World.
But what do they do when that happens? They come out with TV shows that the militias are going to blow up police stations like ABC's doing, and then they're going to blow up police stations and blame it on us. So get ready for all Hades to break loose. They're going to stage terror attacks and blame it on us.
Well, the Colorado shooter thing was a perfect example, and you were pointing it out just the other day on your show saying, look, what did the American people do in response to the Colorado shooter? Did they go beg for anti-gun legislation? Heck no. They went out and bought more guns. I got to give credit to Obama for one thing, at least one thing, that he has been the best gun salesman in history. Thank you, Obama.
Well, yeah, they keep misgauging us. Just because they got a bunch of brain-damaged people watching TV, they aren't in the game. We probably got 100 million people that are pretty much woke up now. The globalists better watch their butt.
And that's just it. We've got maybe 100 million people that are woke up. Now, if they'll just engage, if they'll just...
That's right. If they'll just talk to one person, it isn't hard to beat these little chicken neck commie globalists.
That's right. Only 8.5% of the people in Texas voted in this primary runoff. Folks, we need to double...
Absolutely. Let me do a 20-second plug for InfoWarsTeam.com. We're hooked into the longevity computers. They're never down. They were down yesterday when we did that plug for the new Pollen Burst Plus berry flavor. You want to support us and get the best vitamin mineral products anywhere, InfoWarsTeam.com, and their computers are up right now for you to order.
Alex Jones.
Max Keiser, also known as Lord Keiser, will be joining us coming up in the next segment. I'll take calls as well, getting into the global economic meltdown that he says is about to take a big dip downwards, get into HSBC and their Al-Qaeda funding and more. Noel in Virginia, then Scott and others. Thank you for holding. Noel, you're on the air worldwide.
Hey, Alex, how you doing?
I'm doing all right.
Well, listen, let me tell you, I've been listening to you for 13 years. I became a subscriber to your nightly news and last night's show. I loved it. I got the gentleman's book 10 years ago of the Bloodlines of Illuminati. My son, who's 14, he listened to your show. I'm educating my family to know the truth, how this world really is run. And I have so much gratitude for you and for your staff that takes so much hours out of their lives to pump in the truth. I'd rather die with the truth than die with a lie.
Well, that's right. I mean, that's right. The New World Order is a con artist. They get you to sell out, and you sell out everything good. I mean, evil does not have anything to offer.
Destroy is a taker. You know, in the Bible it says, my people perish from lack of knowledge. And since I've been listening to you for so long, I know the game now. See, the game can't play me no more. I'm relieved. I'm free from this box that they, you know, it's the greatest story ever sold to us. I mean, they mold us, they shaped us, and we really believe that this country is wonderful. And meanwhile, they're killing people all over the place. You know, yesterday you said something very interesting. Enjoy life. Well, life is a journey. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. But you know what? When I get in my car and I drive, I am free because I know the game now. I know who's the enemy. It's not my next door neighbor. It's the people behind the curtain that runs.
Exactly. Even 15 years ago, I'd see a cop and taking a breath, you know, was I speeding? Now I just don't even care, because even if the cop's a bad cop, he's a brainwashed victim, and I'm looking forward to having time to explain how the world works to them when they come over to my car. And let me tell you, it takes all the power away from the New World Order when you're not afraid of them anymore. God bless you. Good to hear from you, Noel. George in Pennsylvania, then Scott and others. George, you're on the air.
Hello. Thank you so much for all you've done for us. Thank you for Mrs. Jones. Thank you for Ted Anderson, and as easy as he made transferring my IRA over to precious metals. One thing that I would like to put a bug in your head to make you think about, the Iceland government is hiring people to go after the bankers for the international banker melee that they tried to pull on that country as well as ours. I was just wondering if with this money bomb, if you might consider legal arm. I think if we sent subpoenas to a lot of these people that are doing unconstitutional acts, saying you will be brought into court for your actions, I think we might have a better...
You know, I think cease and desist letters are important to people to say, we're aware of your crimes, you're on notice. As citizens, we should all send cease and desist letters, because that's the tort ahead of a lawsuit to all these globalists, and we should file them in the newspaper. People should buy ads in the newspaper, full page if you can afford it, tiny thing if you couldn't, and do it on Craigslist. Cease and desist to the globalist. Cease and desist to the Department of Defense working for the foreign bankers, launching drones against us. Cease and desist against local police departments running illegal checkpoints. Cease and desist against the Justice Department shipping guns into Mexico. Cease and desist the NATO and the Pentagon funding al-Qaeda in Libya and Syria. That's an idea right there, because that has weight in common law down the road then for a lawsuit. Just like all these, LIBOR scandal, fixing the interest rates, is an attack on us all. Again, all the organized crimes coming out. God is giving us a chance, this always happens, to see all the evil first, and then if we don't make the right decision now and turn the corner, doesn't mean we'll get out of all this evil right away, but if we don't make the decision to turn the corner, to turn around spiritually, I mean, it's a physical decision as well. You just got to say, I make the decision. Everything else flows out of that. Nothing will happen when you say, oh, it's too big, it's too hard. You got to say, I decide to fight evil. I decide to wake up. I decide to resist. Everything flows out of that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, for the duration of this hour, we are joined by former top stockbroker, even worked with George Soros' son, author. He runs MaxKeiser.com. He is Max Keiser. He's done shows with BBC, RT, Press TV, syndicated radio. The list goes on and on. And he has traveled the world. He broke down years before what would happen in Iceland. He predicted with stunning precision what would happen in 2008. And he is over in Europe. He's traveled to Spain. He lives in France, England. He was there during the ongoing riots of austerity in Greece, reporting live for us with hundreds of thousands in the streets chanting in the background. I was on his TV show yesterday, one of his TV shows, international TV shows, and he was talking about, hey, I think the collapse is basically imminent. And Max is usually, well, it's down the road. So I said, whoa, we better get you on my show to get an update on that. But also HSBC funding al-Qaeda, big banks caught laundering more drug money, running more aircraft. I mean, this is the mafia. Big banks create fake derivatives. They buy everybody off with it. They run things. They want austerity. Most of the debt is theirs. They convince you that you've got to have your pension fund taken, even private ones, because you're lazy. Now they've gotten to, your private pension fund is lazy welfare. Give it to us. Because they want to impoverish you. It's a banker occupation. So Max Keiser joins us to talk about the LIBOR scandal. Everything we've talked about is now public. EMF Global, all of it. I mean, it's just, there it is, brazen criminals, and now there's suddenly, before it was like every few weeks there'd be an article 5 years ago. Then 3 years ago it was every few days. Now, hundreds of articles a day in blogs, newspapers, TV, announcing foreign banks took over. They do control derivatives. If you don't do what they say, they'll implode the economy. We're holding you hostage, but we know best. We're the technocrats, unelected. Tyranny is good. We're going to forcibly inoculate you. And they have Austinites moving into a giant concentration camp at the old airport, getting partially free rent, free Volt cars with cameras in their homes watching them. I just read that from mainstream news earlier. We're entering a total Twilight Zone situation, and he coined the gulag, the casino gulag economy. He said that like 5 years ago on our show. Now they pay you to play video games online, but it's not really paying you. I mean, it is a hell world with cross-species animals everywhere, GMO exempt with diplomatic immunity, forcing you to eat it. The UN murdering people everywhere for their land, endless wars, Al-Qaeda being hailed in the news as heroes in Syria. I mean, we are entering an upside-down crazy world by design where people just give in to anything. That's my rant. Max Keiser, break down those subjects. What do you want to go through first? What's happening with the global economy? Why are you saying we're inching towards a meltdown as the U.S. military admits they're getting ready for martial law in October? We're not saying that's going to happen. We told you before it was in the news. Now it's admitted. Armored pillboxes, automatic weapons, 40 caliber bullets, 450 million of them, surveillance, drones, checkpoints. What is happening, Max Keiser?
Hey, Alex, thanks for having me on. I think the reason I make that comment has to do with the LIBOR scandal, because the LIBOR scandal is a new level of scandal, if you will. First of all, it works its way into the central banking system. So we have the Bank of England and the Federal Reserve Bank are implicated in this LIBOR scandal. We haven't had the central banks caught red-handed manipulating markets like this really before. And additionally, the LIBOR scandal itself is different because usually we have these instances where traders at banks are identified as rogue traders. They commit what are called fat finger trades. They lose billions of dollars. And the bank always says, well, it's an isolated situation. And then
they always commit suicide or are murdered, too. And we've seen some of that happening last week. Sorry.
Not enough, in my opinion. We need to see a lot more of that and a lot less passive resistance. But to finish on this idea, the nature of the LIBOR scandal itself, by definition, requires two or more parties at different banks working in collusion to manipulate interest rates. So by definition is a RICO. It's a syndicated. It would come under the auspices of being prosecuted under racketeering.
It's a conspiracy.
It is by definition a conspiracy because the only way, nobody doubts that this took place. And if it did take place, it could only happen if there was a conspiracy, if there was a collusion amongst these bankers. So this opens up an enormous amount, some are calling it the banking